Hi, everyone. Coach Anna here from Piece of Keto, and I am here with Rose Coates, the keto-ish girl. I don't know how we found each other, but we did. And I have loved watching her energy. She gets on in the morning and she's like, hello, hello, hello. And she just brings the energy and brings the joy. And even if I don't have time to watch her, just seeing her show up, just it's like a bright spot in my day. And so I definitely started following her when I ran across her. And she's been doing these 10-day challenges. She just graduated from Primal Health Coach
Yeah.
Institute, and she's also a life coach. And I think she has a lot to offer um, the community, because being a health coach, it's a big deal because we look at things as all connected, interconnected, your spirit, your body, your mind. And I really see her embodying that. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to become a health coach.
Anna, this is so great to be here chatting with you today. And after an introduction like that, I don't know what more I could offer. But what was the question again? I'm sorry. I got
Well,
this.
how did you become a life coach, health
Oh,
coach?
okay.
What motivated you to do this?
So do you want the condensed version, a minute
And,
version, or do you want a 3 minute, three, 3 minute?
whatever you
Okay.
want to say.
Okay, so pretty much I've been having weight issues all of my life. So I was a self-help guru from probably like 5 years on, and that always appealed to me, Donahue, Oprah, and whatnot. But I just couldn't figure out this one piece of my life, how to lose weight permanently. And since I wanted to do self-help, I exited my career as a corrections officer 7 years early just because it wasn't feeding my soul. And I really just want to coach from the heart and help people to improve their lives. But I was at a crossroads. I had to figure out how to improve my own life permanently without going down the rabbit holes of negativity and weight gain and weight loss again and again. And I finally figured it out. So I attended the life coach school. That was my transition into civilian life. And then I went through a couple of more certifications and I landed upon the the Primal Health Coach Institute. And what attracted me to that was the wide assortment of diets that could be addressed without actually being a diet. It's more of a lifestyle. So coupling that and me creating my own program, for me, I know that from the bottom of my heart that I can help people wherever they're at and whatever road or path or food journey they choose to follow. So that's what got me here today.
So kind of the N=1 experiment, the
Yes.
carbohydrate curve, where we can have
Yes.
anything from 0 to 150 carbs,
Yes.
kind of find our own way, which I totally agree with. I tend
Mhm.
to be more carnivore because I have 4 autoimmune diseases, and that works really
Okay.
well for me. And then,
Okay.
I have clients that, they eat quite a bit more carbs than some other clients might only be able to
Mhm.
tolerate around 20 total carbs. And
Mhm.
it's a matter of experimentation and
Mhm.
seeing how your DNA responds. And I find that
Yes.
so respectful that we have such a broad range to play with a healthy
Mhm.
way of eating that includes,
Ex-
whole foods.
Exactly, exactly. So, and then also I try to help people get to the source of why they're using food. So I come from the perspective of an addict, that every time I'm stressed, I'm bored, I'm happy, celebrations. So I come from that perspective, and that's how I coach. It's not necessarily let's start out with a low carb diet. You can do it with a sad diet, do it with whatever you want to do, but just get to the reasons why you're choosing to overeat now that it's brought to your consciousness. And then you can kind of figure out your roadmap. And maybe they will understand that carbs and prepackaged foods only fuel those desires instead of hinder
Right.
them. Yeah.
I know in my coaching practice, I'm giving up my actual office space, but I never had
Oh,
a scale in my office because I always
okay.
tell people instantly, you are not a number on the scale, and I'm not a weight loss coach. I'm a health coach. And I believe
Yes.
truly that a healthy body, given the right information for that body, will express health. And that means losing fat. And
Amen.
that's not necessarily a number on the scale, because like I've told people, I had a client, I'm not losing weight, I'm not losing weight. So I hadn't weighed myself in a long time, and I weighed myself and I was up
Yeah.
10 pounds, but I was the same size because I've been working out on weight more. So I was able to show her that in reality, here's fat and here's muscle. And we want to lose fat. We want to be fat burners, not weight loss people that just
Yeah.
lose weight for
Yeah.
what you're losing is important. So, and I think that that's very sound in the Primal Health Coaching Institute model of coaching and eating and way of living. So tell me, what inspired you to do these 10-day challenges that I absolutely love?
Okay, so these 10-day challenges, normally I run a lot of races, half marathons or full marathons and whatnot. But with COVID being here, all the travel that I had planned and the races that I had planned, that just went down the tube. And I'm like, okay, I need something to work towards. I'm like a workhorse in that way. I need to have something to work towards. And exercise really is therapy for me, not necessarily the opposite. But so I decided to come up with these 10-day challenges as a way to keep my brain engaged and not just sit back on the couch with COVID and become complacent, and always to be race ready in my mind. So these 10-day challenges are quite the thing. I don't know how many you know about, so I'm entering
Well,
my
my
third one.
favorite one was 10 miles a day for 10 days.
Yes,
That was
yes.
my favorite, and I am going to do that this fall. I'm
Oh,
not
God.
willing to do it right now because it's pretty muggy in the Midwest. So I want to
Okay.
do it when it's more comfortable, but I
Yeah.
plan on doing the 10 miles for 10 days challenge. That sounds like a lot of fun to me, because for me, it's movement. Um, it's not, I don't even think of it as exercise. I think of it as, like Katie Bowman talks about, move your DNA, right? Because
Yes.
we're made to move. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
not about how fast can I walk 10 miles. It's
Mm-hmm.
about being out in nature and walking for me. So you really inspired me to definitely take that one on.
And girlfriend, it was really for a sense of accomplishment, accomplishment to feel as though I'm engaged in life. So when you do that in the fall, let's link arms and I'll do it with you.
Oh, you bet. That would be awesome.
Sort of movement.
That
Yeah.
gives me goosebumps, because I really feel like two are greater than one. And that's why I love
Yes.
to interview people. And I'm the kind of person that I love to lift people up and help them in their coaching practice as well.
Yes.
I have coaches reach out to me off and on, and I'm always happy to share with them,
Yes.
what works for me. Now they can take it or leave it, but I think it's really like Mark Sisson talks about, a high wave can raise all ships. And I truly
Yeah.
believe that. And
Mhm.
I am on a mission for me personally, to make Nebraska become a healthy state, and to be kind of known for stripping away those colors, that we keep getting a
Yeah.
new layer of color. For now we have more obesity, right? So we get a
Yeah.
darker color. And so I would
Mhm.
like to see our whatever percent we're at now go down 1%, 2%, 3%.
Yeah. So how are you going to do that, Coach Anna?
Well,
I'm curious, because I would love to do that. I'm just like, that's so
Well, I'm not
exciting.
exactly sure how, but I think
Oh,
like Mark Sisson had the right idea. Like his
mhm.
mission was to get this word out to however many people, and he realized he needed to replicate himself to do that.
Yes.
And that's why he started the Primal Health Coach Institute,
Yeah.
because he wanted to get this message out there that you can too have some
Mhm.
personal control if you understand your body, if you understand your DNA, if you understand um, how your DNA expresses itself because of outside things. So just because we have
Mhm.
SNPs, like just because I have SNP for rheumatoid arthritis, doesn't mean that's going to express itself. Or if I have a SNP for obesity, it doesn't necessarily have to express itself based on the input I'm giving my body. So the idea that you can change your DNA and all of this, I
Mhm.
want to make that simple and
Mhm.
accessible. And even just the simple message of, and I'm talking with my husband actually about, we're talking about opening up a diabetes clinic. And we know
Ooh.
that there would be a few other doctors that would want to do that. And I think that that's a really
Mhm.
good start, because you know, I think it's something like 5 out of 10 kids now or something like that are pre-diabetic. So almost 50%
Yeah.
children are pre-diabetic and 10% of them have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So I'm just getting the message out there as much as I can through my
Yes.
Facebook pages and whatever. And I'm actually going to do a course online for less
Okay.
money, which I think will be helpful. But I would love to
Okay.
team up with other coaches like you and
Yes.
maybe like, you know, some big fun free challenges,
Yeah.
you know?
I'd totally be down. I'd be the cheerleader, the instigator, and the supporter, definitely. That sounds so
And
wonderful.
I really think too that it's part of like you're a life coach, so I know I'm preaching to the choir, but
Mhm.
looking at your progress and not
Yeah.
looking at every time you make a mistake as a failure. It's not a failure. In fact, Rose, you just posted a failure right out there for the world to see, didn't you?
Yes. So you must be talking about the last one that I just finished. So this 10-day challenge was for me to get up at 4:45 in the morning and sit in my chair immediately and after using the bathroom and getting a sip of water. So and sitting down and writing, not necessarily journaling, but like thought downloading, you know, getting the brain going without coffee, without external stimulation. And I was like, oh, I can totally do this. I'm up early in the morning and that's not a big deal. It's not a big stretch. I got that part down. But the writing and the creativity, and just even if it was writing the same sentence over and over for 15 minutes, okay, girlfriend, I failed totally. I made it 4 days out of the 10, and I just said, you know what? This is me learning about me. It's not necessarily a failure. I learned something here that maybe it's better around noon or bedtime for me to just start scribbling notes as opposed to the first thing in the morning. So that's what it is with failure. I look at it personally as just something to learn what did not work, kind of like diets. You take a little bit of something along the way, you learn something from each one, and then you create your own picture. So it's not a failure, it's an experience, it's a learning experience. So that's what I took it as. But girl, it was on my mind every day.
Well, I love it because I always say back to the drawing board. Like I
Yes.
can make a commitment to do something and then I can learn something that tells me, okay, I can build a better mousetrap with the information that I learned. And so I
Yes.
call it failing forward. I heard that from Tony Robbins a long time
Mhm.
ago, and I love that metaphor, fail forward.
Yeah. Yes.
Nobody who tries is going to succeed 100% of the time. And
Yeah.
nobody who doesn't try is ever going to fail. You cannot be a failure if you don't try something new. So who cares if you decide, okay, I'm going to change the way I eat. I'm going to have a food plan that doesn't include processed foods. And you find
Mhm.
yourself at a funeral or a celebration and you step outside of that box of commitment that you made to yourself and you are, you know, you are calling yourself a failure. Well, you're not, because for the 10 days that you were doing it, you had a sliver of cake. How does that make you a failure? To me, that's like 9 days that you were successful. So that completely outweighs that.
Flipping it. That's right, girlfriend. Yes.
And I really
Yes.
think people are so hard on themselves in particular. Like you would never say to one of your friends, oh my God, you said you were going to do that for 10 days. And I can't believe you would never do that. So I like to encourage people to be their own friend, you know, become
Hmm.
their own coach. My daughter is
Yes.
in the background making
Oh,
lots of noise.
oh, no worries. Oh,
So
yeah.
anyway,
So you,
so
you
my
need to
other,
talk to yourself as though you were talking to your friend, is what I'm
yeah.
hearing you say. Yeah.
Now you also did the, and I don't know, I've never been able to stop the coffee. So I was very highly impressed with the 10-day no coffee challenge, especially knowing that I see you driving through Starbucks a lot of times on your lives. So,
Oh
so
my gosh.
what the heck was going on with the stop the coffee thing? And I'm a coach through Maria Emmerich too, and she's
Uh-huh.
big on stop the coffee because the
Yeah.
cortisol, the insulin. I'd probably
Yeah.
weigh 5 pounds less of fat if I stopped the coffee. So tell me about your stopping the coffee.
Well, so the 10-day for stopping the coffee is because habits. We are so used to doing things just because it's there. I'm just so used to getting black coffee at Starbucks. I'm so used to making 3 or 4 cups at home. I'm so used to going to Panera and getting it. I just don't think about it. So, and I like the habit of drinking coffee. So it was something for me to say, okay, let's just get it out of your system and prove to yourself that you're not a coffee addict, quote unquote, because I don't do the sugars or anything. I just do black coffee. It was just the habit. So let's just break that habit for 10 days and see how you rock it out. So I replaced it immediately with tea. I asked a lot of people on Facebook, what would you recommend, the brands and stuff. So I went and brought 3 or 4 boxes of tea. And I'm going to tell you, I hated every sip of the tea, but I did it to create a new habit. And I didn't have headaches from the withdrawal or anything, but I was just like, oh, I'm totally a coffee girl. I'm going to stick this out because I said I would. I'm not dying here, you know. And it's also to say, that there's times that we go through things that are so hard for us that we think that we're going to die or we're not going to make it, when it's just switching your mindset and saying, I can make it. It is only 10 days, right? So
Yes,
that's
and
how I did
I
that.
take that, one day at a time, because
Yeah.
really we feel like it's an impossible hurdle for us. I
Mm-hmm.
can't, we say,
Yeah.
if only, we say, and we defer our happiness a lot too, I think, but that's a whole different topic. But the thing is, we feel like we're going to die without that thing. We get a headache, we get this, we get that. And those are really physical withdrawal symptoms, is what they are. And they will
Yes.
go away, but they have to be
Yes.
given time to go away.
Mm-hmm.
So, uh, yeah, I think sometimes we have to white knuckle things a little bit to get to that reward of having that success, breaking that habit. And there's also a lot about rewiring your brain, right? How are you going to talk yourself through that? I love Dr. Lustig's The Hacking of the American Mind. Are you familiar with that book?
No, no. I'll
Well,
have
he
to look
has
them
a
up.
video called
Okay.
Sugar the Elephant in the Kitchen that I show to every single one of my clients. It's like one of the first things I send them on an email, because he talks about the addictive nature of sugar. And in The Hacking of the American Mind, Dr. Lustig talks about how we eat these psychoactive foods that are
Mhm.
just as hard on our dopamine as cocaine, heroin, any other psychotropic drug.
Yeah.
And he talks about even the advertising is addictive, right? Like they show
Yeah.
someone practically making love to a Dove chocolate, right? They sexualize it. Or I mean, when we were kids, you deserve a break today, so get up and get away.
Yes.
Life's going to be so much easier if you go to McDonald's. There's all these like heavy promises out there, and we get addicted to thinking there's relief, relief, relief. And
Mhm.
one thing that I've found in my coaching practice, and I'm sure you've found this with your life coaching practice, I don't know how much health coaching you've done yet, but I've found that people think they're going to be happy when. So the
Yes.
deferred
Yes.
happiness, when I reach this size, I
No.
will feel like X, Y, and Z. And I point out to them, if you don't feel like that now, you
Yes.
won't feel like that then. There's
Mhm.
no such thing as then. There's always only right now. And so I work really hard to help people cultivate a mindset of
Mhm.
contentment.
Go ahead, girl. You're preaching to the choir on that note for sure.
Well, that's why I really
Yes.
like you,
Yes.
because
Yes.
just watching
Yes.
you bring the joy
Yeah.
to
Yes.
life, and
Yes.
not letting anything trip you up. You
You
don't
know,
give free rent in your brain to negativity.
I was talking, speaking of that, I was talking to someone the other day. I had to go pay a bill or something. And we were engaged in a conversation, and she's saying, your lives, da 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 da. And she said, I've never seen you hit a wall. I've never seen you down. And I had to remind her, social media is a very good place if that's what you use it for. I go, most people put 99% of their happiness on Facebook, right? They're not going to show you that 1% or the 20% of their unhappiness. So I had to remind her, I'm not always upbeat and outgoing, but I choose to be that way when I speak to my audience, right? So yeah, I had to remind her that no, happy people have down moments too, but it's just the way we switch that flip or flip the switch or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah, I agree,
yeah,
and I
yeah.
have, on my Piece of Keto Facebook groups, I have
Mhm.
literally gotten on there and ranted about being angry about things. I
Yeah.
have gotten on there and told them, "Hey, I had to go back on my Humira. I was off for 10
Oh,
months, which yay, but I wasn't going to sit there and pretend that
yeah.
I was doing well when I was in a very bad flare, and I chose to be back
Mhm.
on my medication, because to me that honesty with my audience is
Mhm.
very important. I wouldn't want someone else to, because I remember watching this one gal, and she refused to be on any medication for her RA, and she was
Mm,
on AIP and this and that, and she was
yeah.
posting all this stuff, and I felt like, my God, I'm on 4 medications.
Yeah.
And see,
Yeah.
AIP wasn't working for me at all.
Right.
Nothing worked until really very low carb keto and then carnivore. And then I have had periods, I've probably been off of my medications for 14 months total. With
Nice.
that, I'm back on my Humira again,
Yeah.
and I really
Yeah.
feel hopeful that I'll be able to take holidays at any rate.
Mhm.
And that's good enough for me. I'm not trying to be some kind of superwoman or some kind of
Yeah.
superhero. I'm just another one who
Yes.
found this lifestyle to save my life, you know?
Well, that speaks to being a study of one. You know yourself well enough to go back on what you needed to go back on. So, and then to show people that you're coaching or that you're talking to that you're human, that it's not 110% to be successful. There's other things that come into play that create your better health overall. So that is awesome that you shared that. Yeah.
Well, I would never want someone to feel um, this is a magic wand. Changing your
Right.
lifestyle isn't a magic wand.
No.
It will give you more energy to face the things you may need to face, but it's
Yeah.
not going to insulate you from life, and it's not going to insulate you from maybe the previous damage that has been done is so great
Mhm.
that you may never really, overcome that altogether. And maybe if you catch it early enough, maybe you will,
Yeah.
and if you're well, you can
Yeah.
stay well, you can stay
Yes.
well, which
Or
is just,
slow the progress
yeah.
down enough. Yeah.
I honestly feel like I've aged in reverse. I'm going to be 55 on the 7th of July. And I feel like I'm younger than I've ever been. My body moves easier than it ever has. I was autoimmune from the time I was a small child. So,
Okay.
um, but
Okay.
you are just such a bright light out there.
Thank
And I
you.
encourage all of my Piece of Keto people, if you want to follow someone that's going to cheer you up, that's going to motivate you, then you need to follow the Keto-ish girl. That's her
Oh,
handle. And
oh,
she is just a bright light in my day.
thank
I
you.
love her honesty. I love her 10-day challenges, and we'll for sure hook up and do something this
Yes.
fall with the 10-day challenge for walking
Yes.
for
And
sure.
maybe encourage some of your clients and some of my clients just to get on board. I mean, and as far as the perfection of that, so I walk my dog up to 2 miles a day. And I was telling one of my girlfriends when I was setting up the 10-day, 10 miles a day, 10-day challenge, I go, well, it's actually going to be 12 miles a day because I walk Pumpkin for 2 miles. And then after we started thinking about it, I go, I don't have to be perfect here, like go out and do the whole dose. I can do her miles with her and then carry on with mine. And I
Yes,
was like, that's a more realistic picture, right? So yeah,
definitely. I was actually planning on taking a morning and afternoon walk. I wasn't planning on doing the whole 10 miles at once.
yeah, a new way of looking at things and still getting the job done, right?
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
actually believe that dividing up your activity is healthier. You know,
yeah,
we can't
yeah,
like front load anything. We cannot outsmart our bodies. That's the
no,
the basic thing that I learned from Primal Health Coach Institute.
uh-huh.
Number one thing is you cannot outsmart this machine.
I hear you. The body knows what's best for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
going to know that it's not getting enough vitamin D. It's going to know
Yeah.
it's not getting enough sleep. It's going to
Mhm.
know that you've been eating junk food and that it lacks nutrients, and it's going to show
Yeah.
up, you know?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
one thing that I think people don't really see is mood, how mood is affected by what they eat
Mhm.
and what they do.
Mm. You know what? I can put my hand on the Bible on that one. Yes. The blood sugar, roller coaster, the headaches, the heart palpitations, the whole nine. It's just not worth it anymore. Now that I know better.
Right, and that's the thing, because I think until you experience it for yourself, did you
Yeah.
know? You didn't know what you were missing out on, right? It was
No.
like, to me, it was like the curtain was parted, or the
Yes.
blinders came off, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh,"
Yeah.
you know?
Like, why wasn't I told this 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Why didn't my doctor tell me? And honestly, I don't think they really know. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
So, you know, as far as us being wellness advocates, I'm glad we're here today having this conversation, but also to help empower people. You can do it on your own. Google is there to be your assistant, to be your friend, to help you find out things that you never knew.
So I have one final question for you, because I
Yes.
have a feeling that you tried to do, the right thing with maybe the food pyramid like I did. Like, you
Yes.
followed that, I'm going to get my whole grains, I'm going to get this,
Yeah.
and it just wasn't working for you.
No, no, it wasn't working. So I'll make it really quick. So emotional overeater, I was successful from 2002 to about 2015 with like 110-pound weight loss, but it would fluctuate. Yeah, it would fluctuate by 10 pounds, here and there. But my problem is I literally could not during those years outrun a bad diet. I was literally running like 40 and 50-mile weeks and racing and whatnot. And it just all came to a head in 2015. My body was broken, my soul was broken, and the weight gain just started coming on. And so I thought all calories were equal so long as it fit in this 3,000 calorie range. I was taking suitcases of food with me to work. It was just a mess.
So
And in
you
2015,
were the calories in, calories out model.
yes, and it didn't matter what the calorie source was. So in my first 110-pound weight loss, I kept a Snickers bar, a king size Snickers bar in my diet. Really, on the Today Show, I was invited there twice, and I spoke about that because it was my emotional crutch as I left overeating McDonald's and Burger King and stuff. Okay, if I can have just that one thing, I can kind of keep going and learning about oatmeal and rice and all that stuff, which is just fudged up anyway. So yeah, so since 2015 I've been investigating, learning about the ketogenic diet because God told me try one more time. And so now I call myself a keto boar.
Mhm.
So I am really practicing carnivore, except for like 10% of my intake because I eat Primal. Primal Kitchens like mayo. I love their
Right,
mayo and their dressings and stuff to go over the meat and everything. And then if I have my nietas with me, of course I give them raspberries, bell peppers and stuff. So I'll eat some of that with them. But yeah, so it was just learning and experimenting, and this is my way of life. It's very simplified, and no longer the highs and lows, the emotions that come with it. But I never knew until recently that it was this easy. Yeah.
easy is such a good
Yes.
word to
Yes.
end on.
Yes.
I mean, it's a pleasure to eat in a way that gives you freedom, where
Yes.
you're not feeding your cravings. You're not feeding this cookie
Right.
monster back here.
Right. There's no cravings.
Right. At least
Yeah.
not physical. I mean, we still have the commercials and all that to deal with. But
Right.
anyway, Rose, I sure appreciate you coming on. I really enjoyed getting to know you better, and I look forward to this fall, because we're doing it.
Yes. Yes. And thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it as well. Okay. All right.